What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today I want to talk about the New York Jets quarterback situation going into the 2025 season and why I think there's a chance that they could take the formula that the Pittsburgh Steelers just used in 2024. So let me do my best to give you the context and explain what I mean by this. So after the 2023 season, the Pittsburgh Steelers moved on from Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph, who were their quarterbacks for that year. They somehow made the playoffs at 10-7 and finished 28th in points. So their offense was absolutely horrible. They got by on good coaching and great defensive play. But offensively, didn't get much out of a Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph-led team. So instead, they decide to move on. Justin Fields ends up as a Pittsburgh Steeler, and they end up signing Russell Wilson. So the first 6 games of the year, Justin Fields is the starter. Russell Wilson was injured, and Fields went 4-2 over that time. Russell Wilson comes in, starts hot, and then goes a little bit cold towards the end of the season. They end up finishing 10-7. This time, though, they're 16th in points, so they jumped up to somewhere around the middle in the pack in points scored. Although, this has to be taken into consideration. This is a part of the context. Their last 5 games of the year, including the playoff game against Baltimore, they failed to score 20 points or more. So Russell Wilson eventually ran out of some gas, but they were improved offensively and they were a 10-win team. But they were still a 10-win team and improved offense just based on getting okay quarterback play from both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. And again, it was an ideal end for Russell Wilson, but the point that I'm trying to make here is the Pittsburgh Steelers signed a veteran quarterback for extremely cheap in Russell Wilson. So how were they able to do that? Russell Wilson was removed from the Denver Broncos and was getting paid a massive amount of money by the Denver Broncos. So what that meant for Russell was he was going to sign on the cheap in a place where he has a legitimate shot to play. And that happened to be a 1-year, $1.2 million contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wanted to pull up this quarterback comparison. Shout out to Buffalo Jet fan, great YouTube content creator in the Jets world, also a good follow on Twitter. But he broke down the numbers over the last 2 years with some quarterbacks that may fit that bill for the New York Jets. And those quarterbacks are Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, and Russell Wilson. Now, am I saying that each one of those guys are still in their prime and are going to be close to top 10 quarterbacks in the league? Probably not, no. But you're looking to replace the quarterback play that you got a year ago from Aaron Rodgers. And when you look at the comparison, it's actually a lot closer than you might realize. So here's the numbers since 2023. Aaron Rodgers played in 17 games, had a 63% completion percentage, 28 touchdowns to 11 picks, 6.7 yards per attempt, a QBR of 48, an average depth of target of 7.38, time to throw 2.64 seconds, pressure to sack rate 22.5, EPA per play was negative 0.01, and turnover worthy play rate was 8th. Now, looking at some of the other guys here, Carr played in 27 games, 68% completion, 40 touchdowns to 13 interceptions, 7.3 yards per attempt, QBR of 58, ADOT 8.4, time to throw 2.61 seconds, 16.7% pressure to sack rate, EPA per play was 0.07, which was the best, and 15th in turnover worthy plays. Then you get to Kirk Cousins. Now, Kirk Cousins is a little bit different. He's also coming off an Achilles injury and ended the season horribly last year. So he scares me a little bit more than some of these other options. But in the comparison to Aaron Rodgers, it's not nearly as bad as you might think. And again, I'm not saying that Kirk Cousins is my preference, but just talking about a cheap quarterback option that fits the bill. 22 games, 68% completion, 36 touchdowns, 21 picks, 7.6 yards per attempt, 57 QBR, 7.8 ADOT, time to throw 2.59, 16.3% pressure to sack, plus 0.03 EPA per play, and 22nd in turnover worthy plays. Russell Wilson, 26 games, 64% completion, 42-13, touchdown to interception, 7.2 yards per attempt, a QBR of 51, ADOT 8.5, time to throw 2.83 seconds, and pressure to sack rate 22.6. He holds the ball too long and takes too many sacks. That's the criticism of Russell Wilson. EPA per play, negative 0.03, ninth in turnover-worthy play rate. So if Derek Carr becomes available from the New Orleans Saints, let's say they, end up releasing him, they want to get out of that contract, and if he is available on a one-year deal at $1.2 million, like what the Denver Broncos just did, is that an appealing option for the New York Jets to add? Now, I'm not saying that, the Jets are righting the wrong. I'm not going to go that far from a couple of years ago. I don't think the Derek Carr contract ended up to be a good one with the New Orleans Saints as they're looking to get out of it after 2 years. But Derek Carr as a one-year starter at $1 million, I think is fine for holding down the fort for a year. Again, I want the Jets to be competitive this year. I'm maybe higher on Tyrod Taylor than some of the other guys who are, content creators or Jet fans. But as I've stated multiple times, even if Tyrod is your starter, you do need a legitimate backup because there is injury concern there. But can the New York Jets go the route that the Pittsburgh Steelers just went, finding a cheap quarterback, playing really good defense, sound special teams, well coached, and that be enough to make you competitive? Now, the Steelers may have the best defense in football, which is why they were a 10-win team. And I'm not saying the Jets in 2025 are very likely to be a 10-win team, but I think Derek Carr could give you similar style of production to Aaron Rodgers, push the ball down the field a little bit more than Aaron Rodgers, and it would be significantly cheaper. So again, I get it. Some people are still not coming to grips with the idea of moving on from Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not saying Derek Carr is your long-term answer and is this amazing, beautiful, perfect option for the New York Jets. But just looking through the options in 2025, something they can do is try to find their version of the cheap one-year Russell Wilson deal that the Pittsburgh Steelers just had. And while I don't think Russ is that guy for the Jets, Carr and Cousins, I think, are going to be mentioned a lot for the New York Jets. And of those two, my preference would be Derek Carr because he does not have the Achilles injury. I know he's not great, but I think he's an okay quarterback who can hold down the spot for a year if need be. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new for daily New York Jets content, and I'll catch you next time.